Hey guys, this is Wolf of Dimensions coming back at you, and this time we are doing an American edition of the Godzilla evolution. Now, of course, this is the 98 Godzilla, or Zilla, as we all know. And now, of course, I shouldn't really be doing this, but to me, let me put it like this. The 98 Godzilla itself was an okay movie. The only problem with it is the fact they called it Godzilla. And this creature is more of an iguana instead of a dinosaur, and it could even be radioactively, it could be a subspecies or a cousin, a distant relative of a Godzillasaur. So I'm just saying it's a possibility, but it's not Godzilla. But we are still gonna do him the honor of giving him the evolution theory, and we're gonna do it by separating the differences between this one and the other, and the original Godzilla. Now, off the bat, this thing is the relative of an iguana, and it's more built like an actual dinosaur was, standing on two legs, but more of a, straight line shape. And it's very quick, very fast, unlike Godzilla, except for the Final Wars version. And its spines, its coloration is pretty different too. It's a more black grayish with spines that are more pointed forward instead of back, and they're different, and they're blue. And it can even have the coloration of black and tan in it too. But you see, there are two versions of this monster. There's Zilla and Zilla Jr. from the animated series. Now, the animated series, I'd like to start off because we know that Zilla is literally just an iguana version of Godzilla, a more faster, quicker, more smaller version of Godzilla. And if we go to the animated series, which personally I love the animated series, it adds a new flair and it adds more monsters, and it shows that animation can put something like Zilla and make it pretty cool even. And he even has the trademark fire and everything. And as I said, for a monster, Zilla is not too bad. Zilla is an okay monster, but he's not a Godzilla. So, as we continue on, his head shape is pretty unique too, because the lower jaw is significantly larger than the upper jaw, which means that he has really not much control over the upper part. He mostly uses the lower jaw as a lock. And his diet is a huge consumption of fish, whereas Godzilla, we're not sure what he eats or how much he eats. But for this one, we know for sure because his hunting has been shown in the animated and the movie. Now, what the animated series did, it also showed a version of the original Zilla that was remade by aliens, which is pretty cool because, again, it did add a Godzilla feel to it, because it had aliens, it had world invaders, and it had Godzilla fighting, or Zilla fighting monsters that were just crazy, And it also introduced a maternal instinct like the original Godzilla, but I think he's okay. Now we move on to Godzilla 2014, which besides the 90s Godzilla is my overall favorite. They're probably about equal, because this Godzilla added a new flair. It did much like 2000 did. It rejuvenated the series, and if you had to be honest, every time I would always choose this over Pacific Rim, because even though Pacific Rim feels like the classic 60s, it's not Godzilla. Godzilla is what defined the giant monsters in Japan and in the world. He's the king of the monsters, and without him, it doesn't feel like a true kaiju movie to me. And the only other kaiju I probably watch is Gamera, and Gamera is pretty unique to me. But we're not doing Gamera right now. Now, for this Godzilla, he's an ancient being who's lived millions of years like the original, and his roar is pretty unique, and his whole design is like obsidian. It's very earthy. And it gives you a feel of what a reptile would actually look like in this situation. He also has the trademark atomic breath. Now, it's more like the 60s atomic breath, where it doesn't do massive damage, but it does do some good damage in the process of using it. It's just not a game changer like the 90s was. He's also a lot bigger than the original, and he has some size issues in his walking and his gait. It makes him a lot slower. than most of the original. Now, most people who saw this, who were fans, in Japan I heard especially, called him fat. But the thing is, a creature like this to survive, to me personally, if it was possible, it would require being a bigger size all over, which means that his size helps him in battle and it helps him in his swimming and standing. Now, the last part to me, I loved his atomic breath. To me, and his spines, the color, they were just great. And this Godzilla overall showed that Japan didn't have to be the only one to be successful in making Godzilla, and that Godzilla is a monster for the world. Now, that's the American edition of the evolution of Godzilla. Like, comment, subscribe if you want. Have a good day.